This is the first set of notes for geometry for the year. If you follow along in our textbook, that's what this section right here is for, section 1-2. We're going to be talking about points, lines, and planes. The objectives are I will be able to identify and model points, lines, and planes. And number 2, I will be able to identify collinear and coplanar points and intersecting lines and planes in space. So let's get these definitions out of the way. Technically, a point, line, and plane are undefinable terms, but there's different things that we can do to describe them. And these are going to be very important for you to remember. So first off, we have a point. A point has no dimension. It is a location on a plane. It is represented by a small dot. And a point is named by a capital letter. So if any time you feel that I'm going too fast, you're not able to keep up with these, feel free to pause the video, or you can even rewind it. So let's say we wanted to name this point right here. So we see the dot that represents its point in space, and the capital letter R is what the point is called. So we just write a little bit different. We do a point with a dot, like it says right there, a small dot, and we write a capital letter, which is R. So that's how we name a point. We're also going to describe what a line is. A line has one dimension. So we had a point above with no dimension. A line has one dimension. A line is a set of infinite points. So there are infinitely many points, represented by a line with two arrowheads that extend without end. A line never ends in either direction. Though every line contains infinitely many points, this is kind of hard to fit in here, but it's infinitely many points, a line can be drawn between any two points. So whenever we name a line, it's named with a single lowercase letter. So right here we could call this line B. And we always try to put that in cursive, so that's what a cursive B looks like in case you forgot. So a single lowercase letter or any 2 points on the line. So in a second we'll talk about collinear points. D, E, and F are all on line B, and I guess this right here is point G. So we have to name two of them. So a couple examples that we can have are DE. Do you see how points D and E are both on this line? They're collinear, and we need to put a little symbol on top. Remember, a line goes on forever in both directions, so that will help you remember that we need the two arrowheads. We also have E and F. There's a lot of different ways to name this line, but those are going to be the only two that I'm going to write down for now. So again, you just pick 2 points on the line. One thing that does not work, what I see a lot of students do, is they'll write D, G, E, F. That doesn't work because you need to name it with just 2 points, 2 capital letters. So now we're on to collinear. We already mentioned this. That's at least 2 points on the same line. And co means together. So you can probably think of a lot of words that start with co, like co-worker, co-captain, things like that. It means together. So non-collinear points are just points not on the same line. So if collinear means they're together, non-collinear means they're not together. So we talked about a point, we talked about a line. The last one we need to talk about is plane. So a plane has 2 dimensions. So remember, a line had 1 dimension, a point had 0 dimensions, and a plane has 2 dimensions. Put an S on there. Extending without end, it is often represented by a parallelogram. So whenever we name a plane, it's named with a capital letter. So you see here we have a capital R. R isn't a point. There's no dot next to it. So we could call it plane R. And it says here it's represented with a parallelogram, so we can also do that, plane R. Another way that we can name a plane is with 3 non-collinear points. So that's why we had to learn the word non-collinear. So I can name it plane W, Y, X. W, Y, and X are not on the same line. I can even pick 2 points that are on the same line, like V and Z. V and Z are on the same line, but W is not. There's a lot of different ways we can name this plane. We just have to make sure that it's not all on the same line. One thing that I can't do is I can't name it plane RWY, for example, because R isn't a point. So that's something that doesn't work. And another example I can't use is plane XVZ. I can't use plane XVZ because XV and Z are collinear. So to fill in the blank here, 3 non-collinear points define a plane. So that should be it for the first side. Let's go to the back. This should be pretty quick. We talked about collinear. Remember that prefix co means together. So coplanar would be points in the same plane. And non-coplanar are points that do not lie in the same plane. So we talk about intersections. Intersections are something that might be a little bit difficult to see. The line shouldn't be too hard, though. Whenever we have 2 lines, where do they intersect? They intersect at a point. So remember, to intersect means to touch. But what about a plane? Think about a box, maybe. A box, you have an edge. So remember, planes go on forever. So 2 planes intersect in a line. So to figure this out, you could say, think about the edge of a box. You could even look in the room and you'll see that the corner of the room is a line. It's not a point. So we have a couple other terms that we need to describe. We have line segment. A line segment is just, it consists of 2 endpoints and all the points between them. So if I'm going to name this, the endpoints are A and B. So the symbol for a line segment is just a line. Remember, whenever we talked about how to name a line, we had these arrowheads. We do not have the arrowheads for a line segment. We just have that. We can name it AB, or we can name it segment BA. The order doesn't matter. The order of a ray, which is down here, it has 1 endpoint and extends without end in 1 direction. So just like how we had a line with 2 arrows, this time a ray is only going to have 1 arrow. And we have to name the starting letter first. So B is the starting point. So for a line segment, order doesn't matter, but for a ray, order matters. So whenever we name it, order matters, order of the letters. And up here, order of the letters. doesn't matter. So it does not. For a line segment, it doesn't matter. For a ray, it does matter. B is the starting point, so B has to go first. And the last thing on this paper are opposite rays. Those are rays that go in opposite directions. So what they do is they create a line. So anytime you need to name opposite rays, you start with the middle point. So that's going to be my first letter. I can go this way. That's going to be ray E, D. E is my starting point. Or I can go the other way. What point did I touch? F. So it would be and ray E, F. So that's it for the first section. We talked about points, lines, rays, planes, line segments, and opposite rays. Hopefully all that made sense, and if you have questions on anything, always feel free to ask me.